The visual, luckily we sound different because the visual is going to throw a lot of people off. Yeah, your glasses.
But I'm not wearing the big glasses. It's not as noticeable.
No, and also I feel like when you got glasses on, it's kind of like me trying to be Clark Kent. No, I'm a different person. I swear to God. I swear I'm not Superman.
So it's just you wearing glasses.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Welcome to a very special edition.
So
the podcast, wrestling podcast, Superpowers.
Yeah.
Here in person, the goats that one day will get recognized. We don't. We started it.
No, we get recognized as something people hate.
yeah. You mean the shills?
Yeah.
The corporate shills?
Yeah.
The bought and paid for?
No, but you don't get accused of paying. That's me.
No, yeah, I'm bought and paid for. You have paid for the opportunity.
Yours is way better.
Yeah, no. Mine is better.
I don't even understand why I got that, not you. That's like unfair.
Yeah. No, it is. It's almost insulting because then it's like people are going, oh, they assume that the only way that you could be where you're at is if you paid your money. And also with all the on-location packages that WWE has available, with all the experiences that are now for sale, and you can take a backstage tour, and you can do a meet and greet. Where is this advertised? Because I guarantee you Green Shirt Guy would be on the pre-show.
Come on.
If you could buy your way onto a pre-show.
Well, thank you to Kevin Owens, who is the person who really took that idea to another level.
Yeah. Did he spread that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
KO did that. And
That's nice.
It's funny to me, people watch wrestling all the time, are fully aware of the work. But if something happens that's a work, no idea that's a work. It is. So, but then it was like, I had JBL on a couple weeks ago, and I said to him, does it make you sad that like everyone hates you and thinks you're like a right-wing crazy person because of your character? Are you like honored by it, or do you like kind of hate it? And he was like, I'm not sure. Like he's so not what people think about him.
Right.
But he's also such a worker that he doesn't want to spoil it.
Right.
So he just doesn't really say very much about it. He kind of just lets it be.
Well, that's the benefit too, I think, of being like gaining your notoriety and fame in a time where social media didn't exist. So like you could have an audience boo you and then leave, and it's not like the audience goes with you. You're kind of okay. Like, okay, like they were mad at me tonight. That's my job. I'm just going to go out to dinner now. The fact that everybody's got Twitter now is when people get sensitive. When it's like 6 hours since you did whatever you did, and somebody is legitimately at home pissed at you.
Right.
That's when you're like, no, guys, I didn't. Why do you actually think this about me?
Yeah, I don't want you to actually think this. Whereas back then, you could just kind of.
It wouldn't occur to you.
But it is interesting. If you pay attention to JBL, who he talks about being his friends, like every person who's significant in his life.
He's lying.
I don't think any of them are white.
Right.
I don't think any are.
Right.
So like, now that doesn't mean I suppose that you couldn't be a hardcore like right-wing racist.
Well,
maybe you could be also, but
Ron Simmons would probably call you out on it eventually at some point.
Like somewhat Ron Simmons, The Godfather.
Yeah, that would be tough.
It's at some point Eddie Guerrero, someone would have said something to him like, hey, dude, enough is enough. We're all equal here.
Right.
So, but anyways.
Right. But I mean, he does a good job.
Yeah.
That means he's good at his job.
Yeah. An old heel, the real thing.
But so is that tough for you to try to go like, okay, well, you know what? But that's part of being a public person, and you've been on the radio for so long. Like, you have to realize at a point the trade-off to being like, well, I talk for a living. That's all I have to do. I don't have to work for real. I don't have to have a real job.
Yeah.
The trade-off is people get to feel however they want to feel and say whatever they want to say, and it could not be true at all. And I've given them the right to kind of do that.
Totally a fair point. And one of the reasons that I wanted to come on the great Notsam Wrestling Radio Network,
that's right,
as it's known,
that's right,
is because I've moved Cheap Heat. So if you're interested in hearing the Cheap Heat wrestling program, it's no longer on the Ring of Wrestling show. Now, the good news is, if you always hated Shoemaker and Kaz,
which a lot of people do.
Oh, I mean,
they're just two guys that aren't likable at all.
Two mean, vitriolic bad guys.
You don't hear those guys and think, man, I'd love to hang with those guys. No, they're a lot of fun.
You think I want to punch them right in the face.
That's right.
So if you've been looking to get away from them, our show is not in the Ring of Wrestling Network. Of course, they're still doing a great job with the Masked Man Show and Wednesday Worldwide. But Cheap Heat with Peter Rosenberg, Stack Guy, and Dip, it's all off on its own place. And you can go find it, and I hope you will. But to that point, I'm excited. I've been talking for a while about how I'm going to do a new podcast soon more about like sort of adulthood and life challenges, things I've gone through that everybody goes through. I'm a little bit excited to get into a space that has like no hot takes.
Wow. But how do you even operate?
I know. Well, what do you know? What is a show? What clips do you choose?
That's it. That's it.
How do you choose a clip?
What a hashtag would I put on this? How does this enter the algorithm?
How will anyone like this? And maybe they won't.
Right.
But my hope is, based on the feedback I've gotten, it seems that I'm gathering that people have problems and they like hearing about people's problems. Like, not in a gossipy way, in a, oh, wow, you are dealing with problems. You're dealing with divorce stuff. You're dealing with fertility stuff. You're dealing with death stuff. You're dealing with addiction stuff. People, I think, like that. My hope would be that there'd be a little less nastiness operating. I mean, I could be wrong.
No, because here's what's going to happen.
Go ahead.
People are going to come to that podcast from a negative place.
Right.
The Peter Rosenberg haters of the world.
They'll find it.
They will find it.
Yeah.
They will listen to it. They'll start taking notes. They'll be aware of all of your problems, and then they'll put them back on
your
you.
face. Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's going to happen too.
Yeah.
You have to hope that you create enough support around you that it's okay.
Right. And I would think, too, that once you've been public about it, somebody else being public about it, you're like,
Well,
I appreciate you listening.
Well, I'll give you a preview of the kind of thing that I look forward to talking about one day is that when my marriage broke up, I was so scared of people finding out because like it's in the immediate, right? Like you're not even separated yet. You're just like kicked out of the house and you and your partner are no longer talking, and it's like, or you're talking, but it's very unpleasant. And you're just scared of like the word getting out.
Yeah.
So like I had to go in I've never talked about this before. This is good stuff you're getting right here.
It's great.
I had to go in my Instagram comments and add all of these words. You can add words so comments won't.
Oh, like banned words?
Yes.
Whoa.
I had to do like Alexa, wife, ex-wife, ring, any words that I could associate.
So when somebody
divorce.
was like, I asked Alexa to find me a Ring doorbell, it's not showing up.
I was talking to my wife about the fact that I asked, yeah, exactly. That wouldn't work. Yeah. So like, I just recently like took some out because like wife was still blocked. And I'm like, I'm married again.
Yeah. And you have to go through and go like, wow, like that was a very dark time in my life. Like you're going through all your words.
Yeah.
Like, I remember mentally where I was when I banned these words.
And I was like very proud of myself when I figured out, I'm like, oh, this is good. And by the way, it was helpful.
Because you had to go, because you were not public, so you had to go, like if somebody went on your Instagram and said, yo, where's your ring? I don't want to have that conversation there.
Correct.
So I need to ban the word ring so that question doesn't come up.
And after I'd say a month, I started getting like I didn't see it because they were blocked, but I know that's when I would have started getting the where's your wife?
Sure.
Because it's not like we didn't post stuff. Like we were pretty public.
Right.
So the downside of that is when it doesn't work out is, oh boy. And like posing for pictures for like 8 months, every picture was posed with my hand behind my back.
Whoa. You were just like, because you were aware.
Always thinking about it.
That sucks.
Particularly once I took it off. So I took it off. So I was aware at first when I was wearing it still. And then, man, I'm giving Sam Roberts the exclusives before I launch my podcast.
This is important.
This is important stuff. But like, and then one day I was back in my old apartment, and I was at that point I would go to the apartment to like take care of the dog or things like that, and then leave. And every time I went into the apartment, it was like less my apartment. It was horrifying.
Oh, because like the pictures are changing.
The pictures are gone.
Yeah.
Then this is gone. Then a new thing pops up. You're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Now, the sweet part is that it's my apartment now, and it's got a huge WrestleMania 3 poster right in the living room. So all's well that ends well. But at the time, and then one day I'm sitting there, and she was on TV, and I turned on her show to see her on. This is early. This is a month in, and her ring was gone.
Oh, and you're sitting there like
on TV. I saw her. That's how I found out the ring was off. Was on her
television, because you're both public people, and you're still in you're saying there's a chance era. She's out of the era.
I knew I didn't feel great about a chance.
Right.
But I did. But I was going to go down
swinging.
Oh, my. I mean, I was going to go down swinging. So
she was like, no, the referee's already called this.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, me and my producers at the K show, we had a way of talking about like making like a football game. quarter to quarter. Let's not try to score touchdowns. Let's just try to pick up some yardage. I never picked up even a first down. It was very clear. It was like this is a defensive game. We're gonna get shut. It's gonna be 13-0.
Yes, it was. Here's what it was. It was the Knicks Sixers game, not the one that they won, the one that they lost, that they should have won in overtime.
Yeah.
When what's his name?
Jalen Brunson?
When he threw a pass.
Just out of bounds.
And it was out of bounds, and you realize that was it. There's not enough time now.
There's not enough.
We're not going to win this game.
Correct. So that was, anyways, things like that, or what I'm looking forward to talking about on this podcast. I feel like there's so many, it's a very underrated subject. The male divorce perspective is very underrated. And I think it's expected that if you're a guy and you get divorced, it means you're happy.
Right.
Like you're out here just doing your thing.
Or like if you screwed up, you could still lament the fact that you screwed up. You know what I mean? Like there is still loss.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think even, there's people who choose to get divorced and people who are the recipient of the divorce. I've heard it's bad both ways. I would have rather have found out the other way. I would have rather checked out the I'm choosing.
You would have liked to make the choice just to see if it's easier, because it wasn't great this way.
It wasn't great. Now, and then again, the beauty of it all is it all worked out, right?
It all worked great, and you're I feel like part of the couple that you should be a part of now, and you know that because all the people that love you around you and your friends are like, yeah, this feels right, which is fantastic. But so when you get into a new relationship, especially when you get married, was there any part of you that was like, this is great now, but by the way, it was great before it wasn't great? Should I be doing this? Do I need to start being more private with the good things if I want to be private with the bad things?
So I definitely was on that page, and my wife, who is a public, a personality of sorts. I mean, she's a photographer, Miss Hatton, and she's, she has more followers than I do. People know her work.
Huge Limp Bizkit fan.
She loves Limp Bizkit, for better or for worse. Something Sam and her bonded over. But yeah, I felt that way for a while, and then I was like, it's not real. Like, that's just not realistic. Yeah. I'm not going to I don't show everything.
Right.
But like, I want to, what I believe always made me a good radio personality was me talking about my life in a completely open way. Yeah. Like you and I aren't the exact same.
Right.
You have some other lines of privacy that I probably don't have. But then every radio personality has different things that they're like super open about, right? For me, that thing is like a big part of what I do. Like, I got into a thing with my wife, like our sort of morning radio show that I do, like those kinds of interpersonal marriage topics. Mm-hmm. It's kind of part of what I do.
Yeah. No, I don't do it as much and it's not
out of fear of one day.
No, it's more because whether it's good or bad, if somebody's presenting an opinion on one of my loved ones, I'm like, it's none of your business.
Right.
Like my first thing is like, who do you think you are giving your opinion on this?
Right.
And they're like, whoa,
you brought it up.
We're talking about this on the radio, bud. Like and so I'm like, look, if I don't want to get into pro or con.
Right.
Like, I don't want your opinion. Right. So it's like, if I don't want your opinion, I'm not going to use this as content if I don't want what comes with that.
That's smart. That's smart. I don't.
Plus, like, half the time I'm not wearing a ring only because like I forgot to put it on, or because
you don't sleep with the ring, huh?
No, well, because I got like ring rash from the metal ring.
Yeah.
Which I like to tell people that's just because I'm so virile that my body is going like, we can't be contained. We can't be held down. My wife doesn't think that is the case. She thinks it's just the moisture that gets trapped under the ring. Which it could be either or. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
You're not a doctor?
No. I'm a broadcaster.
Got it.
First and foremost.
Wait, I thought you were Sam Roberts' last professional doctor.
No. You got a lot of people get that wrong. Broadcaster,
yeah.
But then I was sleeping in a plastic ring, like a silicone ring, except then it slipped up my finger, fell in the toilet. So I flushed it. They're $2. Like, it's not a real.
You still have the real one somewhere.
I have the real one.
Okay.
I have it saved for sure.
Okay.
But so I have new ones, but I just never, sometimes I put them on, sometimes it falls off. I'm like, I'll get to it later. Sometimes my kid's like, can I wear it? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then it's gone. It'll be like 2 weeks. Like, I won't. But then I'll be like, oh, there it is. I'll just throw it on.
Right. That's a nice relationship you have with the ring. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm very.
But then the more public I would make that, the more I would allow speculation to just run free and everybody can have their theories. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe just keep my name out of your mouth. How about
Right,
that?
right.
How
And
about that?
I like the decision you've made.
Yeah. How about you just talk about my wrestling takes?
By
and
the
we'll
way,
both be happy.
love wrestling. Think it's great.
Yeah, I've only heard you say good things.
Big fan.
Yeah,
Big fan.
yeah. Does the wife? I mean, I know she's become part of this world. She's taking photographs at WrestleMania 40. Beautiful
Yeah,
photographs.
Really beautiful.
And she was an Attitude Era fan.
Big.
How has she been with having this incorporated into her life?
She loves it. She's very into it. I mean, she really likes the current product. I wouldn't say she's like,
Who doesn't?
It's hot.
It's hot.
I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
Hottest thing going.
I don't know. You heard about this? We're in a new era.
Yeah, the new era is smoking hot.
It's smoking hot.
So no, she loved Mania. She had a great time. Week to week TV. She has her people she likes.
Right.
She wants to see Rhea.
Nice.
She wants to see Jade.
Nice.
She wants
She likes
to
a
see
powerful female.
She likes a powerful female. She enjoyed a lot of Bloodline stuff.
Who didn't?
Who didn't, of course.
What does she think of the Tongan bloodline?
I don't know if she's gotten into the Tongan bloodline yet. She's not gotten into the Tongan. She's not all the way there.
Some people are saying it's the rogue bloodline, it's the new bloodline. I feel like after the pay-per-view, it's kind of officially the Tongan bloodline. People didn't even realize. I was literally watching it with the folks from the bump, like explaining, no, there is technically, it's not necessarily by blood, but the Tongan branch of the Samoan family tree has always been there. Haku has always been Us.
Yep.
Rock has always described Haku as an uncle. But there is a whole, like we all talk about, you know how I feel about the bloodline. I love the bloodline.
Very strong.
But we talk about this Samoan family tree. There is that whole other branch of Tongans, and I feel like there's a wave of Tongans entering in, and I love it.
Who do you believe is going to be running the show now?
Well, I think Solo is the tribal chief
At this moment.
at this moment. Solo is the tribal chief. I think should Jacob Fatu come in, that could complicate things because he's got a lot of leadership qualities in him. But also, once Tonga Loa shows up, I'm like, oh, we're opening this wide up. Like, where's Bad Luck Fala? Has anybody heard from Bad Luck Fala? What if we get a Bad Luck Fala appearance? Is what I'm asking.
Where's Bad Luck Fala?
Where is he?
I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know right now. He was in New Japan. You know, he's part of the Bullet Club. He's Tama's cousin.
I mean,
He's Tongan.
Are there how many more? Is that all of them? Or is that all the current ones that are active?
No, I mean, not if you're talking Tongans and Samoans. No, because Lance Anoa'i is a great indie worker. L.A. Smooth, who's like he's been around forever. He looks more like Yoko than anyone else, but he's still around, rocking and rolling. Said Jacob Fatu.
Tama's there.
Tama's there. Tonga Loa is there.
What about Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback for the Dolphins?
He is also in the bloodline.
But that's the thing, he is also in the bloodline.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. It's very wide open.
How soon till Roman comes back? What do we think?
Well, so I mean,
What do you know?
I've been. I don't know.
You're in Stanford all the time. Come
I
on.
am in Stanford.
You're in the building.
But a lot of times in Stanford, they're like, Sam, can you explain this family tree to me?
Yeah, well, of course.
yeah. They're not 100%. Like I'm breaking down. I won't say who it is, but every time a Tongan shows up, they're like, "Is that Jacob Fatu?" I go, "No, it's not.
It's still not Jacob Fatu.
No, it's not Jacob Fatu." I keep hearing about that. No. You'll know when he's
You'll
here.
know.
But if he shows up, I don't know. But to me, I'm going before Roman's back. If we've now got Tama and Tonga part of this new bloodline thing, I don't know where Bad Luck Fala is. These are Bullet Club members. Why not bring the OC back together and have kind of a Bullet Club war while we're waiting for Roman to get back? He's not going to get back before the end of the summer, I don't think. I can see Roman being back before SummerSlam. I don't think.
I don't think either.
So if we've got until...
Although Money in the Bank would still be a lot of time off. That still would give him a full over 2 months.
Okay, but still. Now you're talking about all of May and all of June.
That's still too much for me.
Minimum.
Yes.
What are we doing for all of May and all of June?
Right.
I say on the way to Roman coming back, I don't think Jimmy's coming back before then. I don't think Jay's getting off Raw anytime soon. So, like, why don't we do some Bloodline OC interplay? So, I mean, can you imagine if the Bloodline, like, eats up the Bullet Club, and you've got this super bloodline that also has the roots of the original, not like, all the offshoots, but the original game-changing Bullet Club. Because then, if you have the bloodline consuming the original Bullet Club, you know who we've got to speak to?
Who?
Finn Balor.
That's right. Of course.
See? What if the Prince comes back to defend?
And Finn Balor, we're moments away from the Judgment Day being no more.
Right.
Couldn't be closer.
Right.
We're as close now as we've ever been.
That's right. Although every time we think we're close with the Judgment Day,
they pull back together.
Yeah, they're like, good news, guys.
But Rhea's out for a while.
Right.
And then on Saturday, you have Priest fighting with JD and Finn.
Yes.
We're close.
JD McDonough has never really been on the same page with the Judgment Day. Has there been an era in JD with the Judgment Day where it's been like smooth sailing?
Well, just by virtue of the fact that he's never been in the Judgment Day. Like
right.
He is, but he's not. The whole time.
I almost feel like he got brought into the Judgment Day because they were like, well, you're more in than R-Truth, for sure. So we'll let you in because Truth is really not in.
Right. But he didn't get on a shirt.
Wasn't he on the shirt with the list?
I don't think he was.
He wasn't on the shirt with the list where R-Truth like added his name at the bottom?
No, I think that was the 4 plus R-Truth.
I know he wasn't on the shirt with like the drawings. I like the shirt with the drawings.
He was not on the shirt with the drawings.
No.
Which is such a weird thing. Like, I wonder if at one point he shows up, he's like, hey, so you guys gonna now like do a thing where like I get initiated? And they're like, no. We're gonna just keep doing this.
Yeah, we're gonna.
So I'm in. We're not sure.
No.
Just come to TV.
We'll see.
Yeah. Get there and check. Just find out when you get to work.
Yeah. We'll see how it all works out. But again, that goes like, okay, if the Judgment Day disintegrates, Priest is good. He's the world champion. And also, like, I feel like every step he's made since winning the title, he looks like a world champion.
He really does.
He's the real deal. Obviously, Finn Balor is going to be fine. He's Finn Balor. But you've got to find someplace for these guys to go. You could do Finn Balor versus Damian Priest, obviously.
I think that's possible. I think that's where we would probably go next.
Is Finn Balor a villain or is Priest the villain?
Finn's the villain. We already know. Because what a babyface move yesterday. Priest saving Jey Uso at the end. That's the most classic old school babyface thing of, I just got in a fight with this guy. Now my goons come to attack and pick the bones and I defend him. That's like classic. That's
true.
That's really old school babyface shit.
That's true, but there is something naturally villainous about I'm the boss. Listen to me.
True.
Because here was the only hiccup in the whole thing was if they were the villains, they should have been unsuccessful in their attempts to help Damian Priest win. And then when Damian Priest still wins on his own, he goes, get the hell out of here, guys. I told you not to help.
And right.
He won because they were right, actually. Like, they didn't necessarily follow his rules, but they were right. And he did win.
If JD didn't put his leg on the rope, he doesn't win the match.
Right. So technically they're in the right. So technically they're the baby faces. They're trying to help their friend.
Yeah, that is odd, right?
Right?
Because he said, I didn't want your help, but he took the help and it worked.
And when you look at it, it's like, although, people love Damian Priest. Yeah, I don't know. Because Finn Balor is a pretty good guy.
Yeah. He spent a lot
of
of time as a good guy.
Right. Yeah.
He just doesn't feel close to it to me right now, though.
Yeah, that's true. And I like the edge. I like the edge that he's got.
Yeah, I thought.
And it keeps something. If he's a villain, JD's got something to do because JD can be his second. If Finn Balor's a hero, you can't be a hero second. You can't be Robin.
And
Robin sucks.
Where's Dom?
Well, he's got the injury.
So,
but
how serious is the injury? But it's okay though, no? Didn't he say he avoided surgery?
Yeah, he said he avoided surgery, but I smell what they're cooking with Dom. The seeds that are being planted.
With Liv?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's, you know what? I actually thought about that a while back when Liv first put Rhea on the shelf.
Yes.
I thought about that, and then I saw you did a thing about it because I kind of didn't think much of their little thing, and I saw you made a big deal of the thing.
I made a thing of the thing.
You really made a thing of the thing. For me, I kind of forgot. I was kind of like,
But then did you see, the best part about the Triple H era is the stuff that happens in the background of the promos?
Yes.
Did you see them walk out of the same door?
Oh, they walked out of the same door.
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. On Raw, I don't even remember who was cutting the promo, but I always look. And maybe this is because we're in the privileged scenario where we know how these things are shot, that we know they clear the hallway.
Correct.
So Liv Morgan is walking in the background of a promo, and I'm like, there's no way, unless that was like a total accident.
Which
and
is
like 10 seconds later, Dominic Mysterio walks also in the background and comes out the same door that Liv came out of. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I just see?
Here, what?
I saw something I wasn't supposed to see.
You saw something you weren't. That was a
Dom's
secret.
going to have to start blocking comments on his Instagram.
From both his wife and Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
Now, so hold on. So that's, what a fun thing, though. So then you're saying we'll end up getting double turn, heel Liv, babyface Rhea.
Yes, because I think we're halfway there with Liv. But the only way to really, people love Liv so much, the only way to make her a true villain is to have her steal Rhea's dude. Because if she's like...
Well, but that's perfect.
Right,
Because
and Dominic is like...
The only way Liv... I love you, Liv.
Mm.
The only way Liv can realistically ever beat Rhea is if she's getting help from Dominic.
Okay, but what about this? SummerSlam.
Here we go.
Rhea's back. And I pitched this on the podcast, but I didn't put it out as a clip. So
Here we go. Clip time.
SummerSlam.
Talk to me.
Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. Ladder match. Custody
Of Dom.
Dominic at a SummerSlam.
Out of SummerSlam.
Have you ever heard anything better?
No. That would be amazing.
And then Rhea wins. Dom goes in for the big reunion. And Rhea throws the contract out. She doesn't want custody of Dominic anymore. This is the official coronation of Rhea as a babyface. She's done with Dominic. And now that she doesn't want Dominic, Liv also doesn't want Dominic. So Dominic's got to figure out what to do. And he ends up with Tiffany Stratton somehow.
Somehow he goes to a...
It's Tiffy time.
Wait, so is... So for Dom, now it's Tiffy time.
Well, of course. All the hot chicks love Dominic.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
It's the shit stash.
Yeah. Wow, it's cool.
So is Dom's thing just going to be, and he just goes from like hot chick to hot chick?
Of course. What's more hateable?
It's so good.
It's great. And it could go forever. Dominic's a young man. He can do this into his 40s.
That's so true. Can you imagine every time you need to turn a what? He'll be like the Bobby Heenan of women.
I mean, it's so good because the reason Dominic is so great is because he's like a tippity top villain, but not in the way that you're like, oh, he's so good. Eventually, he's going to have to be a good guy. Like with Roman, I was saying it for like literally years. As soon as he loses the title, he's a babyface. He's too good. People are going to realize what he's done. He's a babyface as soon as he loses the title. So that's always
He'll have to do something aggressive to go back to being a heel.
And I don't think that'll ever happen.
You don't?
No.
You think we're done with heel Roman?
For a long time.
Wow. It's over, you think?
Oh, yeah. Roman's a babyface. I mean, they're literally chanting, we want Roman.
Will he...
And not suffer and succotash babyface. Like, this is the secret sauce that, like, Roman is like, oh, now he really is the top babyface.
Will he break up with Mr. Heyman, as Cody calls him?
I wonder. This is a great question. This is the only scenario in the history of this industry where I'm like, you know what would make sense? A babyface run for Paul Heyman. And it would work. Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns as a babyface act would work temporarily. Eventually, Heyman would turn on Roman, like everybody turns on Roman. He's never, ever turned on anybody. Everybody turns on him.
And that would either be a returning Brock or CM Punk or whatever that thing is.
Right. Or Cody.
Oh, boy. Mr. Heyman.
Mr. Heyman with Cody. And now he's not, he's like, that's his real name, Mr. Heyman. He's not the advocate. He's not the wise man.
He's Mr. Heyman.
He's Cody's Mr. Heyman.
Because at this point, Cody only refers to him as Mr. Heyman.
And then Cody goes jet black hair.
Oh, boy. I don't know if you happen to hear it, but I loved Cody's response to my question about becoming a heel. It was so satisfying and I say this with all due respect to John and everybody else, but what I love about Cody is you're the biggest babyface in the world right now. You're the face of the company. You're everything. And yet he knows. I didn't press him to try to give me any dirt. Like I didn't try to be like, I asked him a little bit. I asked him the most vague way of like, was it ever going to be Steve Austin and not Undertaker? But I did it in a way where like, you don't have to answer. But like, hey, were you involved? Did you have any idea what was going on? I didn't even try to say, give that up. But I'm asking you that, do you think about being a heel? And he just answers like, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course I've thought about that. Like, because like, how could you not? It's going to be so, because when it happens, it's going to be so good. And that doesn't mean I'm not enjoying the hell out of how over he is as a good guy. Because it's one of the great good guy runs of all time.
It's the best, undeniable. He is the most popular true babyface since Hogan.
I agree.
And I mean 1989 Hogan.
The only who is the only person? This is a lot. I've talked about this a lot. So
Okay.
It's a loaded question.
Okay.
Who is the only person who could challenge him for that?
True babyface since Hogan.
It's not the first answer that most people would have. It's not, because we know it's not that one. It was too challenged.
Bret?
Bret's fair, but then even Bret's period, like how over what it wasn't the same kind of over.
And the whole company, it was like they kind of feigned putting the company behind him. He never really got. It was always like, yeah, but we're gonna put it on Yoko. We're gonna put it on Hogan. Okay, we'll put it back on you. We're gonna put it on Shawn.
Zach Linder said this to me after I had discussed it, and I thought it was fair. It didn't last.
Since it came from Zach Linder, I'm gonna assume it's Matt Cardona.
That's right. It did not last long, but in terms of pure, absolute, unadulterated over as a babyface,
yeah,
I think Daniel Bryan is probably the best one.
Yes, but it was a moment, not a run.
Was that?
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't. I didn't even do it on purpose, but it worked. It worked. But
you're right. It was a moment.
It wasn't a run.
It wasn't. It was.
The company was.
Was it a year?
No.
6 months?
Maybe. I almost feel like it was like. I mean, what did he do after WrestleMania?
Well, I'm trying to remember.
And he got injured too. Don't forget. Like after WrestleMania, that backlash was like Bryan versus Kane, or something like that. Like it was never
no.
It was the WrestleMania was the moment, but it was also the absolute peak. And so it was like really that Yes-O-Mania story is true, but that would be like if you said, yeah, I mean that Cody did that. I mean, he did twice. He did it 2 Royal Rumble to WrestleMania.
And Kofi was close to Bryan.
Yes. Although Kofi again was like
but it was quick. It was the run up to Mania.
Right.
That was basically it.
Right.
Cody's been doing this now for 2 years. And like as he said in our interview, which you can find wherever you find the Cheap Heat podcast.
Right. You got to search for it, though. New feed.
It's a new feed.
Don't be looking at your subscriptions.
No, it's black and yellow, and it says Cheap Heat with Peter Rosenberg, a big yellow font.
Right.
And Cody, yeah, like, I was basically like, are you surprised that people are still cheering you so much? And he pointed out that it's funny that there are people like celebrating themselves because they were like, I told you people would boo him. And he's like, yeah, there are some boos now. But like, you've been saying that for 2 years. Like, boos are going to start. It's a given.
I mean,
I just love his awareness. Like, of course they are. You can't be this good for this long and not have some boo birds pop up. But I didn't hear one in Leon.
Right. No, Cody is very, very smart. And he also...
Have you ever known someone in all of the work you've done in...
Go ahead.
Have you ever known someone in all of the great work that you've done?
Go ahead.
Yeah. That has been so smart at how they interact with media?
Never. He's brilliant because I've never seen anybody that better knows how to do the Today Show and Cheap Heat and Not Sam. You know what I mean? Like, I've never known somebody who better knows how to handle, making people fall in love with him on Jimmy Fallon's show, but also knowing how to handle when Sam Roberts asks him about the Arn Anderson Glock promo from AEW. Like, he knows how to do both. He knows what audience he's talking to. He knows what they want to hear. And he also, to your point, knows you can't go on a Peter Rosenberg show and go like not answer that question about being a heel. Like, how do I answer that question that satiates that desire to hear it
without exposing the business completely?
The cart before the horse. Yeah. And that, to me, is what he is a true master of. But I also think it's been a weird thing, and I think it's a lot of Bloodline fans, because I think that people, it was The bloodline, the true.
Oh, remember how wrong you were at WrestleMania?
No, I think I got that one.
No, we argued. I remember you said Roman was winning. I remember. And I was
I said he might.
There's no video.
I said it was possible.
Okay,
I
gotta go look.
Definitely.
I gotta see if there's any episodes up where you said.
I don't think
You don't
so.
think I'll see anything? All right. I'll poke around.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think that there's a lot of bloodline stands that are they prey on people's downfall. Obviously, not bloodline stands in specific, but that's always going to happen in wrestling fandom. And I think if you go on the internet, you'll find people being like, "Oh, this Cody's lost steam since he beat Roman," and it's like they literally gave him the biggest moment in wrestling. Give him give it the whole story a second to catch up. You can't go like, we just ended Roman's streak. Like, the next thing is going to be equally as big. Like,
you need.
I mean, when people started going like, "Oh, why is Cody holding his belt like that?" It's like, what are you? You're really reaching now.
Wait. They said a what?
There was a whole thing on the internet about people saying Cody didn't know how to hold his belt because he holds it old school, like Flair and Dusty, and you know what I mean? Like, he holds it folded in his arm like that.
Yeah.
And there was a whole thing on the internet of people being like, Cody doesn't hold the belt right.
Like, he didn't make a choice to do that?
Right. People had to put up montage graphics of like, this is clearly people who say world's champion instead of world champion, they hold the belt like this, like
Correct.
Cody does.
That is one. If you apostrophe yes, you're champion.
The world's champion.
Then you hold the title like it's a little gift, a little package you carry with you.
Right. Like, that's a purposefully done thing to celebrate the history and heritage of a world championship.
He's so great. Did you see when he posted? First of all, you know this better than anyone. People do our shows, and you're so excited that they do it. And they walk out of your show and you go, what a great interview. And by the way, this doesn't happen as much in wrestling. It happens more for me in music. And they don't post one thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, could you tell your people that you did the show? It would be nice. It would help my show.
Yes.
In wrestling, I will say people are generally much better about it. They get it and they want to play ball and they're excited to do our shows, so they promote it.
Yes.
But Cody knowingly putting up a tweet where he sent the video and audio link put over my podcast, but then shouted out 3 other podcasts that he knows he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, you're literally perfect. He did me a solid, but understanding the timing of it, and of course he's had other people reaching out at this specific time.
Yes.
He made sure to mention them so they know, like, you're not being ignored. I'm not putting him above you.
Right.
But I'm like, you literally managed to do the right. So now they're just excited. You got a shout out from Cody.
Right.
Like, he's a genius.
Yeah.
He really is the best.
When he's hyper aware, like, he does the work of knowing the full scope of the community. Like, and he remembers everything.
Everything.
He's just smart. Like,
to the point that's kind of scary. Like, yeah, like you interviewed him in a gymnasium 5 years ago, and it was a big deal for you, and you were excited. It was a fun get. But then he references that conversation.
Yeah.
And
although for some reason he likes when I put up a video of Cody's story told by Cody through the interviews that I've done.
Yeah.
So it starts with Mustache Cody, goes to Stardust, goes to post WWE Cody, goes to modern day Cody, and it's like it's this
That's
just
awesome.
soundbite. It's cool, and so I posted it, and he retweeted it, but then he wrote, "Does anybody know who this Sam Roberts is?"
Oh yeah.
So every now and then
He's still he's still got it.
Yeah. I made a declarative comment on the bump, which you're the right person to ask about it. And this is really, I just wanted to sneak the reference in. I don't necessarily know that I'll be able to fully back this thing up, but I think I can. I said that if there is a beef right now going on today in the WWE,
Go ahead.
that you could compare to Drake and Kendrick, it's got to be Punk and Drew. And I say that because it's personal, and I say that because Drew was going hit, unresponded, hit, unresponded. And sometimes they would be like little things, little jabs, the way Drake would just like, in another song, say a thing, and you'd go,
What was that?
Is he? And then eventually you get to the point where he's taking direct shots, unresponded. When Punk starts responding, he's like, we're going to respond up here, and I'm going to do it over and over and over over again.
It's a great call.
So this is, I think, when we talk about modern day, current, happening right now, if there is a beef in the WWE that could be associated with Drake and Kendrick, which I've been obsessed with as well, I feel like it's Punk and Drew.
Well, I don't see who else it would be.
Yeah.
Who else has a really hot? Because it kind of has to be a war of words.
Yeah, or at least specific shots, like Punk coming in and costing Drew the title, and then also costing Drew the #1 contendership. I feel like that's like Kendrick putting out 2 songs. Like, you already cost me the title.
But and by the way, is Kendrick's already at 4?
That's what I mean.
Isn't that crazy?
It's nuts.
He's at 4 now. And I really have been told that there's a lot more.
Like a lot.
And I didn't think it was true. I thought they were just saying it to say it. But
But he did like Saturday night at like 8 o'clock at night. Here's another one. It's like enough. This is the same one as before, right? No. It's
there's another one. It's a new
one.
a 4th one.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's weird too. I was thinking about, have they crossed the point of no return? I still don't think they have. Interesting. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't think they have. Which I'm happy.
Meaning
about.
they could make up.
Yes. Even though what's been said is,
I mean, Kendrick said some stuff that is the type of stuff you say about somebody you'd never want to be associated
well,
with.
I will say the Harvey Weinstein pedo stuff, that might be tough.
That's tough. That's what I mean. It's real
because the
tough.
family stuff you could like. Oh, I said you have a kid, you don't have. Drake's like, I made up that your best friend is the father of your child.
Okay, let's move on.
I lied and said you beat up your wife. Whatever it is, those ones I could see you being like, hey, it was a battle.
When you said you try to strike a chord,
A minor,
that's not. You can't.
Those ones are tough.
It's tough.
Or I think Rotten Hell, Harvey Weinstein, or something.
Real tough.
That is tough. I just can't get over how good Kendrick is. And I will say Drake did the Drake one from Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
What was it called?
It was the Family Matters, right?
Family Matters.
That was before Meet the Grams.
Immediately before.
Right.
Immediately before.
Right. And I did then, and that's part of it too. Now I made the comparison on Wednesday on the bump. So this was very early on. This was when after I made that comparison, somebody did post a meme of Drew holding up the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, or the World Heavyweight Championship that he held for 5 minutes at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And it said, "This is Drake after Family Matters dropped."
That's exactly
because Meet the Grams is right around the corner.
That was exactly. Now that's accurate.
Yeah.
But I thought Family Matters was pretty damn good. I thought he'd have a really tough time responding to Euphoria at all. I thought he responded well. I think the problem Drake runs into is 2 things. A, Kendrick's a good, boring, nerdy guy who doesn't go out very much.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't mind just doing a lot of research and a lot of writing.
And so now the things that you're saying about him, and this is what I'm going to say on the show tomorrow. Here's the problem.
Right.
The toughest stuff you said about Kendrick at least appear to be completely pulled out of thin air. He's a spousal abuser, and his best friend from childhood is the father of his child.
Mm-hmm.
You could say that about anyone. Someone could start beef between me and you and say, Sam, your 3rd child is Rosenberg's. We all know.
Right. And I go, we don't even look. Oh, no.
No.
How can I prove this?
So
genetically, if it's one, it's the other.
Exactly. So anyone could make that up at any time.
Right.
The hard part for Drake is Kendrick's running with the whole pedo thing.
Tough.
Because everyone already thought that there's things from Drake's past that didn't necessarily pass the smell test. There was the Millie Bobby Brown friendship felt weird to people. Mm-hmm. And there have been those I'm not suggesting that what Kendrick's saying is true.
No, you're just suggesting that
Kendrick
suggested it.
Correct. And he suggested it based on things that are out there publicly that could make people go, Whereas the stuff you said about Kendrick were just kind of like, okay, and anyone could kind of throw that. What is that based on?
Right. What is to you the quintessential beef song? Your favorite, and you can't really, this one, recency bias, whatever. It's tough to judge right now any of these, but like when we talk about Hit 'Em Up, when we talk about No Vaseline, when we talk about Ether, you know, what do you...
Mine is very clear for me personally. Mm-hmm. It is Second Round Knockout by Cannabis.
Wow.
It's my favorite one.
Wow.
First of all, I don't listen to Hit 'Em Up as a rule. Don't listen to it.
Why is that?
You get that. that shit gets no play in my ride.
Why is that?
Because I'm a Biggie guy.
Right.
Not because I'm like Biggie over Tupac, but because I'm a Biggie guy and I was actually like offended.
You were upset by that.
Yeah. Like I was
your
like,
feelings.
yeah. I at the time thought saying, "You fat motherfucker, that's why I fucked your wife."
Right.
To me was a bridge too far.
You said way too far. I don't like this.
No.
And it's mean.
It's very mean.
Yes. Okay.
And it well, here's the thing though. It felt meaner.
Sure.
Because the song's popularity as the years went on were all after Biggie died. So I really didn't want to hear it.
Right. Well, let's not speak ill of the dead.
It just didn't it was too far.
Right.
I mean, honestly.
No Vaseline's pretty far.
But their beef was so much more founded.
I see. Okay.
The Tupac Biggie thing, like honestly,
Who Shot You was not what it wasn't.
He didn't really say anything.
Yes.
And Tupac did it with everybody. One of the amazing things about Tupac is he was so interesting and smart and so completely fucking unhinged.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I mean, when he's talking about Prodigy having sickle cell, like that, he would be really mean.
Right. Right.
And I was like, I don't know why. Like, you're going too far for no reason.
Right. Well, he was always about the thug life.
He was. Apparently, he was. But for me, it's Cannabis second round knockout because it's like this one moment in time where Cannabis was so hot in that moment, and the way that he breaks down LL is so fucking strong, and it's constant. It's the entire song. No word is wasted.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
It came. The truth is, Syph and I have a theory. My partner on my hip hop podcast, One Ep, we have a theory that the reason everybody always references Biggie's death day so much of March 9th is because on that song, Cannabis says about LL, a rhyme of LL's. He says that shit was the worst rhyme I ever heard in my life, because the greatest rapper of all time died on March 9th.
That's great.
And I believe that's literally was implanted that in all of our brains. Like,
right.
It's March 9th
March
is the
9th.
date.
March 9th.
It now seems like a given. But at that time, it was only a year later or a year and a half later. It wasn't in our brain permanently already. And
right.
If you go back and listen to it, it's all your fans are chicks. Nobody cares. Which, by the way, in retrospect, you're like, so?
Right.
But at the time,
sure.
I recommend it. It got Mike Tyson on it.
Yeah.
Like Mike Tyson does the intro. He got Mike in the video. This is when Mike was like his craziest, post-jail, scariest.
Right.
Running on the beach with cannabis. It is fucking awesome.
He's on medication to keep him from killing y'all.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I love that one. And by the way, the things Mike Tyson says on the intro make no sense.
But still, you're not going to correct him.
No, you're going to sit right there and go,
You know, Jim Norton has a favorite diss song, like by a mile. He loves one.
What era are we talking about?
It's modern era.
Back to back.
No.
What is it?
The Story of Adidon by Pusha T.
Oh, really? What, you explained it to him?
I explained it to him. He loves it when he goes, yeah. He loves
That's all it took.
It's all it took. And I mean, like, anytime, like, we were just talking about Drake and Kendrick, and he just brings up Pusha T, and also has no knowledge of any other song Pusha T has ever done. Ever. But he loves The Story of Adidon.
I will say, that song is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I do remember where I was when I heard it. It has one of those things. And when I was listening, and he took The Story of OJ was already a great song.
Yes.
And then they just changed.
But by the way, Jim also has no idea about The Story of OJ. He doesn't know. He just like.
He just thinks the song's called The Story of Adidon. That's what the beat is whatever.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just thinks it's great. And then he was like, oh, you have a child out of wedlock. And it was, yeah, it's true. He did. And I mean, the fact that after that, like, not only did Drake like acknowledge his son, but like now it's a part of his public life. And that's all based on a diss song. That's maybe the most effective diss song.
It may be the most effective of all time. And it was the most, I'll say this, it's people will disagree and they'll say Ether. But as someone who doesn't love Ether, I don't agree. I think Story of Adidon's the most decisive knockout punch of all time.
Well, it is, because Drake was like, this is over. I'm out.
You are hiding a child is a crazy.
And Drake is like, as a matter of fact, I am.
Yeah.
We need to stop this conversation immediately.
Why did you bring that up?
Yeah. I thought I blocked that on my Instagram comments.
The moment, full circle.
Yeah.
The moment that I have marveled at the most in this battle is on the song Euphoria, when Kendrick just explains to him what being a good father is.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, that actually is like
No, these are good.
these are good father like as a father myself.
He says
I'm like, oh, he's 100% right about this. This isn't
these are reasonable, really good expectations to have for a father.
Right.
And you, sir, don't meet these.
Right.
No one's ever done that on a diss record before.
like you're not doing a great job.
You're
raising
just
your
not
son.
right. That's just a real. I know. I see how often you're out.
Right.
You can't be doing that good a job.
Like if somebody said that to me, I go like, Jesus, dude, what?
And by the way, and if they were to say that to you, it would be like because it was some unnecessary PLE weekend and you traveled, to the bash at Berlin
Right.
and you missed one of your many children's birthdays, and they were like, "Sam, go home.
I mean,
Enough is enough."
you don't understand that I would be at Bash in Berlin. That's
Oh,
the problem.
of course, no.
I'd
If
be-
you found the haha hole in Berlin,
Yeah.
and they had an opening on the Thursday night before,
Right.
You're doing Notsam live.
Will you guys fly me in? Yeah, we'll fly you in.
Done.
All right, we're there.
Great. I'm there.
You don't understand. When I was having a conversation with WWE, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna give you a call on Monday," and this was like on a Friday. I was like, "Okay," and I didn't know what the call was about, and I was wrong. But you know how like when you know something's coming and you start trying to put the pieces together, you do a terrible job. You're never right.
Always.
So that was the Friday, and then that night on SmackDown was the SmackDown. The Rock came back, and then right after they announced the press conference in Vegas.
Well, I know this week, yeah.
Right, and so
You had a baby.
Key to the story, and so I go, huh? And then the next morning, I'm talking to my wife. I was like, yeah, I don't know. They're gonna call me on Monday. They want me to do something, and then I went, press conference. They wouldn't have wanted to tell me about the press conference on Friday during the day because they didn't announce it till Friday at night. Maybe they want me to go to Vegas. Press conference on Thursday. C-section is on Thursday. I go, oh no, Jess, they might want me to go to Vegas on Thursday. And she goes, yeah, and you're going to have to tell them no, right? And I go,
I'm not 100% sure.
see, I don't know. I haven't asked.
Yeah, I haven't had the
what am I, Cleo the Psychic?
Yeah, I can't tell you what the answer is going to be until the question's asked.
And then when they called and it was not that, I was like, oh, thank God. No, I would have said no. I would have had to say no.
You would have had to have
definitely would have had to say no.
By the way, what do you think you really would have done? Truthfully.
I probably would have had to figure out how to go. I would have figured it out. I would have figured out how to be in two places at once. I would have done some
What
Fred
time of day
Flintstone.
was the...
I would have tried to move the C-section.
You would have tried to move this.
I would have tried to.
To what? Wednesday night? Friday morning.
Yeah, I would have tried to push it off. I think it's safer to push it off than to...
And that way, here's the thing. Press conference was at 5 o'clock Vegas time.
Local time.
You could have been on the red eye.
Yes. Yes.
You could have been back by 6, 7 a.m.
Yes. Yes. That's what I would have tried to do. I don't know if I would have been effective, but that's what I would have tried to do.
As it turned out, though, it turned out to be the best of all situations.
I didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And I could tell you right now, I would have said no,
Yeah, sure you would
and
have.
I never would have missed that moment.
No.
No.
Never. Which moment do you mean? The
What?
moment you had a child?
What?
You were hiding a child.
So, yeah. When we talk about beefs, what do you think when we start thinking about, okay, now we're thinking of all-time beefs because of this Drake Kendrick thing. What is the all-time greatest wrestling beef? And I don't say...
Feud.
Yeah, but I
Not
mean...
feud.
Kind like rivalry, but feelings, right? Because when we talk about the greatest hip-hop beefs, we don't say what produced the best music. We go, what made us feel a certain way, right? So when I say rivalries, I'm not saying what produced the best matches. I'm saying what was the best in terms of I am on board for this rivalry.
The obvious answer is Brett Shawn.
Okay.
The real answer,
Yeah.
if you're not talking about greatness, you're talking about feelings.
Feelings. Jake Roberts' earthquake after the snake.
You read my
He
mind.
squashed the snake.
Edge, Matt Hardy.
Wow.
about that?
What a pull.
How about that?
Wow.
Think about that.
And I like that because the match, I mean, it didn't really pan out that well. Like
No.
it wasn't.
The match wasn't great.
But it did not only, boy, did it make you feel because it was real and it was exciting as things were happening and you didn't know where it was going to go. but it is also the thing that turned Edge into the hottest heel of that era.
Yep.
And like you could argue took him to that next level. Like all that Rated R Superstar stuff, all the Vicky Guerrero stuff, everything.
That doesn't happen.
Right.
We don't get to see Edge have the lights turned out on him twice last week during Dynamite to have Malachi Black standing there next to him as he stands over Buddy Murphy. You could argue that never happened.
You could argue.
Yeah.
And I would hate to live in that world.
I was making fun of last week on the podcast. Tony Khan has no idea that if you turn the lights off 3 or 4 times on every show, it starts to lose its effectiveness.
Plus, like, look, if the lights go off when they come back on,
something has to happen.
I'm looking for Sabu and Taz every time.
Please.
They perfected it in 96. I'm always looking for Sabu and Taz. And Taz is at that commentary table.
Right.
So when those lights go off, Sabu better be out there staring down Taz because Barely Legal is in 2 months.
Otherwise, the one they did the other day was after the second time the lights went off, they went back on. No one was there. I was like, that's not an exciting reveal.
No. And yeah, and it should be a surprise too. If it's just an entrance, it's like, oh, this is just his entrance. Then it's like, oh yeah, no, he works here.
I want to ask you one thing. I know we got to probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
Do you get frustrated like I do with the tribalism in the wrestling, or do you enjoy it?
No, I mean, look, I think anything that people take too seriously is like, what are we doing here? I don't get frustrated at all with the tribalism. I think it comes to the territory. I think the idea that it's new is wrong. I mean, I remember being in middle school and having tribalism with WCW or WWF. Like, it's always been that way. It's always going to be that way. It's supposed to be that way. When you're a passionate fan, it should be that way. What frustrates me is people who are now in the business of the business, meaning there's some kind of content creator, or even if it's just like a Twitter account that this is what I do, I give wrestling takes, or they're a podcast, and they're like, no matter what, I'm going to dunk on AEW. That's my business. I'm dunking on them. Because it's one thing to be like, I like this better than that.
Sure.
This is good. This is bad. That's all fine.
Or I have a preference. Like, I just like the presentation of WWE more.
Totally fine. But when I can tell that you are rooting for their demise and you don't see that, like, having WWE and AEW and TNA and New Japan and GCW and all the indies, like having...
But particularly those top two.
Yes, but yeah, having them both prosper is good for all of us. If you don't see that, and all of us meaning fans, and all of us meaning
anyone who makes $1 in wrestling.
Who make $1 talking about wrestling.
Right.
Like, if you think things would be better if any company went away, you're not being honest. Like, this idea of being in this space at all and using it to be destructive instead of constructive is crazy to me. That I will never understand.
You said that really well, because you're right. The tribalism part does exist, and it's fine.
Fine.
What frustrates me is those things. Yes, the permanent dunking. Like, I'm waiting for Tony to do something stupid so I can dunk on him.
And stuff like you don't let things play out. So you're just like, whether this is good, I don't care. Like, I'm not letting it play out. This could be this could be that. Nope, I'm going to dunk on it right now. Or when you have to start stretching, even if it's like, I'm not saying it was excellent, but if something happens and it's like, oh yeah, I could see where some people would like that. It wasn't for me, but I get what it's something. It's something. That's something. As long as it's something, I feel like it's fine. But when you start stretching and bending over backwards to be like, no, I figured out a way that this is stupid. That's what you want to do.
And I also, and this one also frustrates me with some loved ones of mine. Also, like, just not remotely paying attention if you love wrestling. Like, if everyone's saying something awesome happened here, and you're like, yeah, but I'm not interested because it's not here. I'm like, that's just weird.
You talking about Stack Guy Greg?
I am. We fight all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, this person was your favorite wrestler, and they're wrestling again. And it's kind of neat because you're seeing them in a different place with different people, and seeing, even if that place is worse and has a worse structure and all those, aren't you like curious to see what they are like made of? Nah, I'm gonna watch a reality show. Well, I'm like, I just that part always kind of like irks me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you would think it would be the opposite, that if you make money with a company, then you'd say, no, well, then I inherently only root for that company. And yes, I will always root for, as long as WWE will have me, I will always root for the success of WWE more than anything. However, maybe when you do make some money in it, you have a greater appreciation for there being other places out there for people who can't earn money at WWE.
I'm just like sitting here as a fan, because at the end of the day, I'm never leaving that space. And I'm like, yeah, like I was born and bred on WWE. Like, you know, I was having arguments in 8th grade about why Nitro sucks.
By the way, me too. I was never a WCW guy first.
Right.
I was always secondary for me.
But like, as just a fan who like benefits from things being good,
competition makes things good.
Jade Cargill doesn't get to come to the WWE with this presentation without foundation being built. Cody Rhodes.
The biggest thing that's happening in wrestling right now is not happening if AEW doesn't exist.
And by the way, it's also not happening if WWE doesn't exist, because this wasn't happening over there.
No, it was not.
So don't get us wrong.
It needs both. Oh yeah. It had to happen because WWE had competitor maybe strong, but because there was another option in the marketplace on cable television, Cody Rhodes was able to go somewhere else. Certain things happened. I mean, listen, when Cody Rhodes left AEW, no part of me thought this was happening at WWE.
I mean, because
I thought Cody was getting go away heat by the end. I was like, this isn't going to be. And everyone's like, oh, he's going to go to WWE. I was like, okay. I mean, hopefully it'll be great. I never would have guessed that it would have been like this. And so, yeah, why wouldn't you be excited about the fact there's a place that people can go, and whether they fail or succeed, maybe come back a better performer?
Yeah.
That alone.
And the more other spots there are, the more imagine if we can come up with. Imagine if. What if? Imagine that. Imagine this. If there's only one spot, that imagine list becomes very small.
We want to operate in a world right now where we can't fantasize about the day MJF's music hits in WWE.
I mean, everybody was doing it leading up to WrestleMania. They were like, and then
and like that. I want that moment to happen.
Yeah, or like the idea that like, regardless of where you land, Kenny Omega versus Roman Reigns, one day. Oh,
well, and if
I mean, I'd be Stan's dad on South Park.
If Will Ospreay
Stains everywhere.
If Will Ospreay could make sure he keeps his foot out of his mouth.
Wow.
Listen, all things can all be forgiven after enough time. Just let's not do things again.
Sure.
Yeah, the idea of getting to see Will Ospreay with a mic in his hand in WWE one day, that's an exciting possibility.
And in a ring.
And in a ring. So, yeah, that part frustrates me to not support it all. Obviously, you can have your favorites. I certainly do. But
sure.
I love the idea of there being places for people to go and improve and to make money. It's tough. No one understands. Part of what was built into what made the WWE Vince McMahon era such a complex thing, and this is in all ways, is that when you have one person who essentially decides the entire industry, that's problematic. Like, for the nature of a business, that's problematic, right? Like, that means there's going to be limited opportunities for people to work, because if somehow that person just doesn't have a taste for you,
right,
you don't have the chance to earn a living.
Right.
And that could mean literally that if that one person sees that wrestler and goes, I just don't like the cut of their jib, that's just not my kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that, A, now obviously, I don't know if you know this, we're in a new era. And and B, that there are multiple people at least to make those decisions means that there's more opportunities for people to perform. And that's what we all want, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is how I see it.
I love it. I love it. Well, look, I think we've unpacked a lot here.
Yeah, we've said it all.
We've said it all. That's another Stern thing, isn't it?
I haven't even been listening to that much Stern, but those things don't go away.
No, I was about to ask you, because I more like Stern. I want to thank you for being the father of wrestling. Did you hear him say that to Biden? He thanked him for being the father of America. He said we're all lucky for it. I was like, this is...
He did?
Yeah, he did. This is a new Howard. Softer
the
Howard.
Father of a... I'll say this. I wore a suit with Cody because Howard wore the suit with Biden.
And Cody's our president.
That's it. Well, see, that's exactly right.
Yeah. You showed the proper respect.
That's you're wearing a suit. It's Cody Rhodes, for God's sake.
He's the champion, and not just any champion, the undisputed champion, and he's Cody Rhodes.
Don't you love, though, by the way, did it bother you at all that they've changed the wording on the championship? But the word that they removed was not undisputed. It was universal.
Well, I don't dispute that Cody Rhodes is that champion. Is the
But
thing.
I don't mean either.
He's that champion.
He is that champion for sure.
Undisputed. You can't argue that.
But there is another world champion.
Well, yeah, but that's not the same.
But you're not disputing that
I'm
either.
I'm not disputing that Damian Priest is the world heavyweight champion.
Right. Nor are you disputing
That Cody Rhodes is the WWE champion.
But the word universal,
that doesn't make any sense.
Get that. Yeah. What does that mean?
What are you talking
Get
about?
that the hell out of here.
No.
Keep undisputed.
Keep undisputed because what are you going to do?
Not
dispute it? What are you, crazy?
Oh, thanks, Sam.
Thank you. Cheap Heat, available wherever you get podcasts. Thank you, Peter Rosenberg.
Thank you, friend.